So, welcome back to our fourth lecture on the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. So, yesterday we saw how the avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. These are called pancha kleshas. Pancha means five, klesha means afflictions. So, pancha klesha are the part of non-true self. Pancha kleshas are the part of non-true self. Non-true self means the itaratra that we saw. Remember the fourth verse of Yoga Sutra, where Maharishi Patanjali says that when you don't establish yourself in your true self, the mind will identify with anything, this and that. So this non-true self is the field of this and that. Whatever your mind shows you, you believe, and you start associating with that. All of this because you don't know who you really are. Something like the story of Mowgli. Mowgli, you know Mowgli from Jungle Book? He was brought up by wolves. So he thinks of himself as more like a wolf and not as a human. Nobody told him that he's a human, and there's a difference between wolf and him as a human. So something like that happens in our case. Misidentification. In one word, if we can summarize this whole drama which catches us over lifetimes and lifetimes, we can call it misidentification or misidentification because of non-recognition. Misidentification because of non-recognition. When you recognize who you truly are, the misidentification stops. And then, it is then that you establish yourself in the true nature. As Patanjali says, Swarup, Swarupa. So we proceed now and we'll look at the Ashtanga yogas. The Ashtanga yogas. So Patanjali says that if you want to realize your true self, follow the path of Ashtanga yoga, means the yoga of 8 limbs. And Maharishi Patanjali summarizes the whole process of self-transformation by giving us 8 steps that can lead to recognition of our true self. We know one word for that: recognition of our true self. We discussed last 2 times. And in English I told you, something that ends in cognition. Viveka khyati. Viveka khyati means discriminative understanding. Discriminative understanding or cognition means, what means discriminative? Means you know that this is my true self and this is not my true self. So the verse that we are going to look now will mention that. And then we will look at the Ashtanga yogas. Is this clear? The Viveka Khyati? Like yesterday I gave you an example of the actor. The actor knows that I am the actor and this is the character that I am playing. So the actor has Viveka Khyati or discriminative cognitions or understanding to know who he really is. You know, there are many actors, very, very good actors. Sometimes they become so much a part of the character that they are playing for a movie or a play that they start behaving like that character for some time. There are many, many actors. They do their study to play a particular character and slowly, slowly they start behaving like that. Perhaps because their discriminative understanding is not strong enough. Okay? Clear? So, before we look at Ashtanga Yoga or the 8 limbs, we will look at one beautiful verse. In your book, it is on page number 116. Chapter 2, verse 28. Yoganganushthanad ashuddhi kshaye jnanadiptir a viveka khyate. What does it say? It says, by the practice of these limbs or 8 limbs of yoga, the impurities fade away and there draws the light of wisdom leading to discriminative discernment. So this is basically the summary. So what is Patanjali saying? When you follow the 8 limbs or Ashtanga Yoga, the light of wisdom shines. Where? From the tube light? Where does the light of wisdom shine? From our true self or from within. And how does it shine? By giving you a discriminative understanding. Okay, now I realize that I am true self, I am love, freedom and bliss. All the drama that happens through me and around me is not really me. It's a firm understanding, like I told you yesterday, that every stage of our spiritual growth empowers us. When you face a fear, when you know something a little more about yourself, every stage, every little growth in your spiritual path empowers you. Gradually, gradually, gradually. Why this empowerment is needed is because our natural radiance, please understand this, our true radiance, our true strength, our true potential is so vast that if you suddenly become aware of it, your mind, your psyche, which is your processing unit, cannot really make any sense of it. Make a sense of it. It is like a beggar who earns, you can say, maybe European beggar, earns 600-700, I don't know if they do, but maybe 500-600 euros a month by begging. Let's assume. And he survives somehow on that money. And then suddenly he realizes that his grandfather has passed away and left him $5 billion or 5 billion euros. Let's take euros. What will the beggar do? A beggar who lives on 500 euros a month, immediately one day somebody comes, one lawyer comes and says, "Excuse me, are you this and this?" "Yes." "Is he your grandfather?" "Yes, but I have not met him in the last 10 years because I am living on the street." "Doesn't matter. He just passed away last week and he has left for you $5 billion. What will happen? He will just faint. I mean, he will ask first, perhaps the first question he will ask is, how many zeros are there in 5 billion? And even when he gets $5 billion, that beggar would not know what to do with it. But somebody who gradually earns money from 500 euros a month, he starts earning 10,000 euros a month, 1 million euros a month. Then if he makes 5 billion, okay, possible. But for somebody who survives on 500 euros a month, if suddenly somebody gives him $5 billion, he faints. Our spiritual growth is also like that. Every little growth, and when I say growth, I don't mean success. I mean even a little mistake on the spiritual path is growth. Every little growth empowers you till you are able to handle your grandeur, your godly nature. I remember when I was conducting a workshop, name of the workshop was "You Are a Miracle." And I started that workshop with an introductory lecture. After 10 minutes, I passed a very strong statement saying, recognize this, that you are all unique. You are all miracles. Just like everybody, yes. All 7 billion of you are unique, are miracles. And suddenly one woman raised her hand and said, I do not agree. We have no value. We are as good as dust. All 7 billion of us. And then I spoke with her and I understood why she had this belief in her mind. But she was so emphatic about this belief. We are nothing. We are as good as dust. People come, people die. They have no value. We are worthless. And she argued with me for 5-10 minutes that how we are not miracles. We are just as good as particles of dust. This will not, if such a person with such an attitude is shown the grandeur of godliness, like Arjuna was shown by Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna showed Arjuna his universal form. And even for a spiritually mature soul like Arjuna, it was a little difficult to understand and watch and digest the whole grandeur of Lord Krishna. Same way, we all have this grandeur, the godliness. If you are not gradually taken to it, number one, you will not believe it, or number two, you will not be able to handle it. That's gradual rise. So, what is Patanjali saying in chapter 2, verse 28? That when you work on yourself through the path of Ashtanga Yoga, the light of wisdom, and these are exactly the words he has used. These are not some floral English translations. He has literally used the word Jnanadipti. Jnanadipti means actually light, actually not even light. Jnanadipti means the flame of wisdom. The flame. Of wisdom leads to discriminative understanding. Yes, I am this. Okay? So now let us look at chapter 2, verse 29, the Ashtanga Yoga. The 8 limbs of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. It's funny because nowadays I have to specify Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, otherwise it leads to a lot of confusion. I have had somebody once say, but where is the Vinyasa series in this? Yeah, in one of my lectures on the Yoga Sutra philosophy. There's no Vinyasa series in this. I said, this is the original. So what does chapter 2 verse 29 say? Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhayo, Ashtangani. Shall we repeat it? In your book it is written in a very nice way. Let's do it slowly. Okay? Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhayo, Ashtangani. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhayo, Ashtangani. So, what does it mean? The 8 limbs are, Yama, which means abstinence. Okay, perhaps it is there in your book. Yama means abstinence. Abstinence means what?
To refrain from sense.
Yeah. No, to refrain from. Abstinence. Because when we elaborate, you will see it's not just sensory, it's many other things too. No, to restrict yourself from. To refrain from. Abstain. And then, what is the next? Niyama. Niyama means observances. It's like you follow these rules. kind of observances. You observe discipline, or you observe silence in the church. You observe the traffic signs or traffic rules. In that sense, observances. The third is asana. Okay? It is asana, not asana. Again, pronunciation. It is asana, not asana. No, even in Hatha Yoga. So, Paschimottanasana, not Paschimottanasana. Utkat asana, not Utkat asana. Asana. And what does asana mean in this context? Posture. That's it. Posture. A physical form, that's it. A physical form is a asana. It is not the process of doing. Remember that. According to Patanjali, asana is a state of the body. It is not the movement of the body. This we need to understand. This is a fundamental difference between a Hatha Yoga asana and a Ashtanga Yoga or Raja Yoga asana. When Patanjali talks about asana, he is primarily describing asana as a position or a posture of the body and not necessarily a movement of the body. Asana. Next comes Pranayama. Pranayama, not Pranayama. Pranayama means something very different. What is it? Pranayama. Breath control. Or, as we know, from the gross aspect it is breath control. But from the subtle aspect, what control? Prana control. From the gross aspect, yes, air goes in the nose, air comes out of the nose and all that. But from the subtle aspect, the advanced aspect of pranayama is controlling the movement of prana. What is another word of prana used many times in other scriptures like Hatha Yoga scriptures? No, but scriptures don't say life energy in English. Vayu. Remember? Vayu, like a wind. So prana or vayu. Because sometimes the prana of the heart is also called as prana, and all the pranas are also called prana. So it can get a little confusing. So sometimes the pranas are called vayus. V-A-Y-U. Vayu. Which literally means like a wind current. So, what comes after pranayama? Pratyahara. Pratyahara means sense what?
Withdrawal.
Sense withdrawal. Where are you withdrawing the senses? What means withdrawal? What does it indicate? Taking away. Where can you take the senses away? They are inside you. When you withdraw the money from the bank, where does the money go?
Out of your bank account into your pockets.
Yeah, out of the bank account. But whose account is it? Your account, no? So when you say you withdraw the money from the bank, where is it coming? It is coming back to you, within you, isn't it? It is your money, you are given it to the bank, now you are withdrawing it. It's not bank's money. That is not called withdrawal, that's called bank robbery. So I have given 1,000 euros to the bank for safekeep with pathetic interest rates, and now I am withdrawing the money. So sense withdrawal. Where am I withdrawing the senses? In. Why within? Because the senses are already going out. As we all know. When the eyes are open, they are looking outside. When the ears are open, you hear strange sounds. When the nose is open, you smell everything in 10-meter radius, especially 70% awareness is on the kitchen smell. When the mouth is open, you go for the packet of chips or chocolate, or papaya in our case. Pratyahara, withdrawal of senses. Next is Dharana. Not Dharana, Dharana. Dharana. What does Dharana mean? Concentration. And what does concentration mean? Concentration means bringing the awareness to a singular point, to one single point. Bringing the awareness. Because it's all about awareness and building the awareness. So, dharana means concentration or focus of our awareness on a one single point. Now, this point means what? Not a point on the wall or in the space. It's object. And that object can be anything. Object also doesn't mean something like a physical object. It could also mean an image of somebody you love. It could also mean a mantra. It could also mean a single thought. Dharana. Then comes Dhyana. Right? What is the next after Dharana? Dhyana. It's not Dhyana. Dhyana. Dhyana means meditation. And then the last is Samadhi. Samadhi means absorption. absorption in your true self. Or merging your awareness with your true self. Sama means to become equal. So as you can see, Ashtanga Yoga is a gradual path. It starts from something as basic as yama, which are abstinence. So let us look at the yamas. So chapter 2 verse 30. What are the yamas? It is yama, it is not yama. Okay, I've heard many people say yama, but it's yama. So, according to Patanjali, there are 5 yamas and 5 niyamas. There are 5 abstinences and 5 observances. So what are they? Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. Very strong sounding, verbal, tongue twisters. Okay, so let's repeat it 3-4 times. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. So the verse goes, Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Parigraha, Yamaha. It's a one single sentence. So what are these 5 yamas? The first yama is ahimsa. What does ahimsa mean? What does your book say? Yeah. Or you can also say harmlessness. Non-harming. Sometimes it is also called as non-harming. Which are the 3 ways in which harm can be created? Thought, speech, and action. So, just because you don't speak it doesn't mean you don't think of it. Just because you don't do the action doesn't mean you don't think of it. If you meet somebody and they make you angry, and deep inside you, you want to beat them up, you want to punch them. But because of social commitments and some obligations, you show a different face, plastic smile. Hello, so nice to see you after so many years. But all you think of is, how can I punch this guy? That means harm has already been created. Harm has already been created. Karmas have been registered. If you hit him actually, then perhaps heavier karmas are registered. But just the thought itself will mean ting tong, one karma is registered.
If you suppress such a thought, doesn't it go into the subconscious, unconscious? Can you
When you repress, yes, that's why we use affirmations. Patanjali gives many methods to work on these. And they say in the scriptures that such thoughts will keep coming to you unless and until you identify the other as someone else. Please understand. Remember the other day I told you, fear separates, love unites. If there is an idea in your head that the other is enemy or the other is competition, then such thoughts of harming and violence will keep coming to you. These thoughts will only go when ultimate union happens, or when you start seeing equality in everybody. Ahimsa. Himsa means harm and means negation, non-harming. That's why be aware of your physical actions, be aware of your thoughts, expressed and also unexpressed. What is the next yama? Satya. Satya means truthfulness or abstaining from falsehood. Abstaining from falsehood. Now technically you will say, hey, but according to the whole Patanjali's philosophy, we are all in a big falsehood, no? Isn't it? We are all living our non-true self, which is falsehood. So how can we abstain from falsehood if we are living falsehood? How can we abstain from falsehood if you are living falsehood? So Patanjali says, okay, if you are living falsehood, at least don't create more falsehoods. At least don't create more falsehood. It's like many times people get stuck in the, what is it called? Swamp, no? Quicksand. So what do they tell when people are stuck in a quicksand? Don't try to rescue. Don't try to move your hands and legs. If you struggle, once you're stuck in the quicksand will pull you more. So just scream for help. And if you are alone, then just pray. Sometimes the screams won't go far enough, prayer will go there. Same way, okay, if you are living a life of falsehood, fundamental falsehood, at least don't create more falsehood in your life. Means, I have given you one sentence in the life tips. Live your relative reality clearly till you reach the truth. Live your relative reality. According to Patanjali, do you agree that we are living a big lie? That's why even in Bible, Christ will call many people, mostly his own followers, you hypocrites. You hypocrites. Why does he call you faithless ones? You faithless ones. You hypocrites. If you read the Bible, Gospel of Matthew, you will see many times Christ calls his closest disciples hypocrites. Why? Because you are the true self, but you are living something else. So Patanjali says, okay, fundamentally we are not living our true nature. That means we are living our false self. At least don't create more falsehood in your life. Please. Please take care of that. We are now trying to get out of this falsehood. So don't mess it up a little more. Don't mess it up at all. It's like this. If you are recovering from a big sickness and when your immunity is low, you will not indulge in any eating of some street food. Right? Because you just came back from 2 months of hospital stay, you just getting back your immunity, and just because you are now discharged from the hospital doesn't mean your immunity is back to normal. So what people do? People take care of the diet. They clean, they keep up with the hygiene. Why? Till the immunity is back, you have to be a little careful with the germs and bacteria and viruses. Same way, if we agree that we are living a lie fundamentally by living in our non-true self, then we have to see to it that the life that we are living doesn't create more falsehoods. That means what? In simple sense. It means live your life henceforth in alignment with the true self. Yes, we don't know what is true self. We are still a little far away from experiencing the true self. But at least let us live our life along the qualities of true self that we know. So there are 3 qualities of the true self that we know. Love, freedom and bliss. So let's try to live our life as close as possible to unconditional love. Let's try to live our life as close as possible to independent freedom. Let's try to live our life as close as possible to unrestricted bliss. And for this I had given you a tip a few days ago. Remember? I had told you, henceforth, before you indulge in any action or pursuit or work or relationship, ask yourself, will this choice lead me on the path of self-transformation or take me away from my path of self-transformation? Ask yourself, reflect before you react. Ahimsa, Satya, living close as possible to the truth. We can do that by living a life of reflection, clarity, conscious awareness, and contentment. Means, imagine you have two jobs or two projects. One project, you see that project for the next 6 months. Your boss tells you, okay, you have two projects. This one or that one. I told you, life is simple. You can't get more than this and that. That's it. So this project is for 6 months. And you like the subject matter of the project. It's something that interests you. It's something that you identify with. And there's another project which is also for 6 months. And it's something that you completely don't know about. You don't know the subject. It's completely out of your limits. You don't even like the subject. And it's not where you want to go. That's not a career path you want to choose. Which project will you ideally take? The first one. Why? Because it's closest to your truth. It's closest to your truth. Yeah, we don't know the truth. But what is the relative truth that I know now? Yes, I like banking and finance. Okay, I'll take that banking and finance project. I don't like marketing and sales. I will not take marketing and sales project. That's your truth. You made a choice. Depending on what clarity you had. Now, do you realize if you choose the first project, the blame or the guilt will be less or maybe zero? If you would have taken the second project, and after 2 months you would have got bored of it or got burnt out from it, what you would have done? Self-blame. Oh, when I had the choice, why didn't I take that project? I always do this. Why do I do this? So by taking the other project, you actually increased your karmic debt. You made your mind more complicated. Because you were not living in line with your truth. But when you selected the first project, you were living in line with your truth. That is Satya. And we all have to live in line with our truth till we reach the truth. Remember this. We all have to live in line with our truth till we reach the truth. If everybody lives like this, life will be much, much simpler. There will be no blind followers of anything or anyone. There will be no herd mentality. You know herd mentality? Hey, everybody is going there, let's also go there. Why? We don't know, everybody is going there, let's go. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Okay. Sorry, that was completely out of line with the truth that we are immersed into now, but still. Okay, what's the third? Asteya. Asteya means non-stealing. Non-stealing, huh? Do you see that non-stealing or asteya has a direct relation to satya? If you know your truth, you will not be tempted to steal from others. If you have clarity, then you know, okay, that's what I don't want and this is what I want. But if you are completely confused, and I am not saying this from a very spiritual sense, very, very practical sense. For example, have you gone to a restaurant with somebody who has absolutely no clarity about what they want to eat? Hi, what would you like to have? Anything. Yeah. Sorry, they don't serve anything. And then when they look at the menu, they'll be confused. Oh my God, everything looks nice. And then immediately what happens? You make decision for me. Whatever you want, I will eat. And then if you order something and they don't like, oops. Oh, that it would have been nice if you would have ordered the other thing, right? So then you feel, oh my God, then why did you tell me? Asteya. If you don't have your own clarity, everything else looks tempting. And that creates a sense of theft already. And please understand, according to Patanjali, you don't actually have to go out and steal from somebody's house. Even the thought itself has registered a karma. Asteya. Again, when we started off the course, I had told you a very, very important line. The whole philosophy of yoga is based on one and only one premise. All that you seek is within you already. And if one lives close to this truth, that all that you seek is within you already, one doesn't have to steal anything or anyone. Stealing is not just for things, it's for people also. What is the next? Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means to restrain or to keep your energetic expenditure in check. Brahmacharya. to keep your energetic expenditure in check. That's why many times they will understand brahmacharya from the point of view of sexual continence. Brahmacharya. Keeping your energetic expenditure in check. And last, aparigraha. What does your book say aparigraha means? Non-greed, non-grasping. Graha means to hold. So basically, keeping away from greed. Not trying to hold something that is not yours. That's why we are holding something that is ours. What are we holding? Our true self. Our true self is not somebody else's. I cannot go to Veronique and say, hey Veronique, can I have your true self for a couple of days? Mine does not work. No. Impossible. We all have to hold our true selves or our truth or our faith till we pass the ocean of samsara. Okay, so ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha, yamaha. That's why many times people say that, oh, yama and niyama itself are so difficult that when will one cross the second limb? It's not like that. You don't have to wait for all the yamas to be finished and then go to niyama, then start asana, not like this. It's limbs. It's not steps. It's limbs. It becomes steps perhaps little later, after the fifth. It's like a spider, no? Or like an octopus, has 8 limbs. Right? A spider has 8 limbs. If the spider has to walk, he has to move all the 8 limbs together. But in our case, in the Ashtanga Yoga case, perhaps the last limb will not work, the last 3 actually, and that's why the 8 limbs are divided into 2 sections. 5 plus 3. The first 5, that is yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara. The first 5 limbs are known as Bahi Ranga Sadhana. It's a big name. Bahir Anga. Bahir means outward. Anga means limbs. Sadhana means practice. Means what? Yama niyama, they are to be practiced in which field? Externally, in the society, when you are living your life. Asana, we practice through the body, which is also an external action. Pranayama, too, we work with the breath, which is outside. Pratyahara, pratyahara is what? sense withdrawal. So basically you are pulling your senses from outside to inside. Then, so Bahiranga is 1 to 5. Then 6, 7, 8 are called Antaranga Sadhana. Antar Anga. Antar means inward. Anga means limb. Sadhana means practice. So what is happening? The last three, what are the last three? Yeah, concentration, meditation and spiritual absorption, that is Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi is 6 to 8. Limb number 6 to limb number 8. So you can say that the first 5 limbs you can move simultaneously. You're practicing asanas, you're doing pranayama, you're practicing your nama, yama and niyama strictly. Once you find a good amount of clarity and grounding in these 5, then you turn your attention to the antaranga or inward practices. Huh? Sorry? Yes. You cannot escape mobility and stability. These are the two forces with which the whole world is made of. You will see them everywhere. So you can say the first 5 is to do and the last 3 is to be. The Bahiranga Sadhana, the outward practices are to do. And the Antaranga Sadhana or the inward practices are to be. Okay?